Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Oh, frog in my throat. Welcome back. This is Ask the Cheeseman, episode 290. Nice. We're getting close to 300. Patricia, an answer to your question. I'm getting close to 300 episodes of Ask the Cheeseman. Congratulations. Any plan to mark the occasion? I haven't thought that far ahead yet. All going well, the 300th show will be on the 3rd of December, if I remember rightly. So we could do something fancy. I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll figure it out. So thanks for asking. That's fantastic. A big shout out to all the financial members. Thank you to Banu for becoming a YouTube member. And thank you to all of those listed on the screen there. Your financial support is amazing. And thank you to Oliver over in Western Australia, who became one of my new patrons. And there are all the patrons there on the screen. Thank you so much. Without your support, there wouldn't be much of a show. So once again, from the bottom of my heart, you keep the wheels turning. Videos, cheese videos. Well, we have up on the channel, as of late last night my time, the sour mizithra, I think that's how you say it, or xenomizithra is how they say it in Greek. It was a simple little cheese, lactic set, delightful. So that's available on the channel to view right now. One of those obscure cheeses you may not have heard of before. I'm also I'm working on now Robiola, which is in its final stages of editing, and in the kitchen draining at the moment we have Charus, which is a French lactic set white mold cheese. So that should be exciting. Let me just show you my Trello board, and you can see all the other ones that are upcoming as well, just quickly, because I can. So here's my planning board. As I said, Sour Mizithra is in the Publish Promote section. Robiola is in the editing section, the video shoot, Charus. The next one I'm tossing up between Scamorza and Reblochon, that I'll be making next weekend or during this week. So they're planned. Then we got yesterday's Colonia, Fromage Fort, hand cars, Domiati, I think that's how you say it, Abors, Baby Swiss, what's that one, Dry Jack, Goat's Cheddar, Imaruli, which is a Georgian cheese. And then in the planning or video ideas stage, we've got Blue de Buffalo. Now I know I can get my hands on some buffalo milk. So that's the schedule at the moment. Things can change, of course, but that is the plan so far. So that's how I plan my workflow, using Trello. Not sponsored or anything like that. Rightio. Now, next week, or Monday, or tonight, or whatever. So, in the next 2 days, I will be recording my 100th podcast episode. Yes, you heard it right. The Little Green Cheese podcast will be 100 episodes old. Can I find it? Where is it? Where did I put it? Here it is. So, Little Green Cheese podcast. This is the video version you can see here. There is an audio version which has an RSS feed. You can go and find that on Apple Podcasts and all that. If you saw my community announcement this week, in that community announcement video on the main channel, there is a link to a SpeakPipe page, which is this page here, where you can send me a little message a voice message, which I will include in the... here we go. It's in the chat. And you can record a message for me that I will include in that 100th episode. So that'll be exciting. So you can ask a question, or you can leave thanks or what have you. So that's the podcast channel. 100th episode coming up. So that'll be absolutely fantastic. And don't forget, you can sign up for the Curd Nerd newsletter, which I promote all of my videos on a weekly basis. And I'll just grab the link for you and pop it in the chat as well. So many things going on. Right. There we go. There's the link to the Curd Nerd newsletter. It's free, by the way, if you want to sign up. Wednesday is the usual day that I send it out. So, yeah, there you go. Alrighty, that's all the news from me. Let's say g'day to a few people. There are lots of people in the chat. First one was Banu over in Istanbul. G'day, Banu. Lovely to see you. Whether you're still awake or not, it will be pretty late there in Turkey. G'day to Shauna and Nev and Valerie and Robin and who else we got? Dan in the UK. G'day, Dan. Michael and Jenny are watching. Lice Dog, how are you? Patricia, Titus, Charlie just down the road. G'day, mate. Cool Cat in the UK. Julia, g'day, Julia. Brendan, and Brendan sent me a mountain of photographs of all the cheeses that he's been making lately. So, gallery is super long today. We may go a little bit over time, but if you can't hang around, that's fine. So we'll see how we go anyway. Samuel, g'day, and Nina, and who else? Herb, Eagle, how are you both? Liz, Anthony, Kathy, hello Kathy. Herb and Andre. Who else? Brahim and Jim, Croesus, Borg, Lloyd, g'day Lloyd. Got your photo, mate. Robin, different Robin this time. Where are we? Did I miss somebody? No. That's it. Arando, hello from Wales. G'day, mate. And Katarina, love to see you. Alrighty, I think we've got everybody there. Let's get into some questions, because that's what the show's all about, isn't it? Asking questions, ask the Cheeseman. Oh, goodness me. Right, so, if you have any... Here we go. Anthony's got it's a suggestion. He says, he needs to find people to eat my cheese now. I did not plan to have 5 different cheeses finish at the same time, but now I have a cheese glut. Yeah, it's party time at your house, Anthony. I find the same thing happens to me occasionally. So Kim puts out a all points bulletin on the Facebooks, and friends and family come and collect. In fact, yesterday I had 2 extra robiola than I was going to use, and our family friend came and picked up 2 of them yesterday, so that was good. Get it out of my fridge and into somebody else's. That way you make cheese lovers all over the world. That's the great thing about it, I reckon. This frog's not going away today. Excuse me. Herb said it took me a year to get rid of 25 pounds of cheese that I made. Well, you need more friends, Herb. That's what it is. Give it away at the roadside. Set up a little stall. That'll work well, mate. Eagle says, all good, Gavin. Oh, okay. Storm going on, so making jerky and a big pot of chili today. Hope your summer went well. My summer is just started, mate. Being in the southern hemisphere, we are just starting summer. Today is going to be 24 degrees Celsius. We're having a bar. I know it only says 8 there. It is 8. It's freezing at the moment. I got the heater on, but that'll go off soon enough. But yeah, 24 degrees by about 11 a.m. And yeah, we're having a barbecue. So first barbecue of the season, so that'll be good fun. So our summer has just begun, and it's going to be a hot one, they've predicted. So anyway, Brendan says, a frog in your throat, and he just crossed his legs. Nice. That's a good one. Oh, goodness me. Kathy says, I opened my first kefili today. So good. Yes, kefili is one of those cheeses which is simple to make, quick to mature, and just tastes really, really nice. So, well done, mate. Lifestog says, Charus and Reblochon, what a treat. Looking forward to seeing it. Yes. So, Charus is going well. I did a short last night, actually. Did a YouTube short on Charus, so you go and check it out. Where is it? It's on the channel page. Let's have a look where all these shorts live. Can we have a look, Gav? Yes. So if you have a look on the channel page, occasionally, here it is. So here's draining the Charus, just here. I won't click on it, it'll go to the video. But yeah, I'll do little snippets here and there when I'm making cheese in the vertical format, and pop them up as a short. So that's always good for a laugh. So yeah, so that's the Charus going down there. Kathy says that I have a cranberry orange rind one. So that's kefili, aging for the holidays. Nice. Lloyd says he's just opened up a walnut and orange kefili that will age until the holidays. Great cheese. And Lloyd, I got the photo, so we'll be showing that in the gallery. So well done, thanks, mate. Right, there is a question from Lloyd, and he says, what else is cloth banded other than cheddar? Well, cloth banding originated in the UK, so it's mainly those cheddar-style cheeses. So I have seen Cheshire cloth banded. I've also seen, what's that one? Starts with a C. No, not Caerphilly. Lancashire. Lancashire as also cloth banded. So there's a few of those cheddar style cheeses that need the paste itself to be fairly dry, but it's a good way of protecting it. So mainly English style cheeses, Lloyd. There you go. Lloyd also says, also thanks for recommending the Caldwell book. It is fantastic. The book that Lloyd is talking about is this one here, Mastering Artisan Cheese Making by Giannis Caldwell. I think we might have a couple available in our store if you can't find them anywhere else. But yeah, great book. Really goes into detail about everything. You want to know anything about cheese making? It's in this book. Really good book. Mine are good if you've got some basics or you want some basics, but if you want to get deep into the practice of cheese making, then yeah, use this book. And you can get it in my Amazon store too. There we go. Thanks for that question there, Lloyd. Patricia says, how much longer do we have to get your buffalo mozzarella up to 1 million views? I see we've only managed 5.4 thus far. Yes. I think the stretched target or goal was by Christmas. Somehow, unless YouTube just blows up for some reason, it may or may not happen. So, well, we're going to try. I'm still pumping out a video a week, if not two, including some shorts. So, we'll see how we go. Okay. Nawab, long time no see, says, I'm having problems with my cheese culture since each packing is made for 50 litres of milk and I use it each time for 10 litres. The quality drops each time, so I can't make more than 3 chowder. I do keep it at 20 degrees Celsius. Okay, so the best way, if you can get yourself, right, to store your cultures in the freezer, grab one of these in front of my face. A little sterile container. Okay, these are 50 milliliter versions. And they have a little airtight screw, which is fantastic. Pour your packet of culture into this, seal it up nice and tight, put it in the freezer. It will not get any moisture in it. It will last for a long, long time. Up to, well, for me, I'm a cheap bugger. So up to 2 years after the best before date, I'm still using starter cultures and I have no problems whatsoever. I make cheese every week. So yeah, get yourself some sterile containers, get them out of those foil packets, get them into these. And that's the best way to keep your starter cultures long term. Unless, of course, the packets you're buying are single use. So you use the whole packet in one session. So, but if they're larger, like you said, would you say it was 50 litres of milk versions? A lot of the ones that I sell are for 100 litres of milk. So, yep, I take them out of the foil packets, straight into these, and you have no issues whatsoever. Okay. Nina has a question, says, I opened a lemon myrtle Cotswold yesterday that I'd waxed and got a bit of whey seeping out. Is that normal? It aged for 3 months and seemed to taste okay. Look, that whey build-up is no issues whatsoever. Had it many times before, especially under wax. Sometimes happens under vac pack as well. You'll see it more prevalent than obviously under wax. Look, it's just a little bit build-up. When the cheese was aging, it's no big deal. I just pat it dry with paper towel and then away you go, no issues. It'll taste fine, it'll be fine. Andre says, what will be if too much starter culture put into milk? Is it possible to destroy the cheese by adding too much culture? The cheese will pardon me. The cheese will acidify way too quickly and may become bitter during aging, so that can be an issue. It will be very strong. It'll be very crumbly as well, the final cheese. If you're going for a cheese that normally has smoother paste in the final cheese, you may have some issues because it'll tend to become crumbly because of more lactic acid that's been produced. So, yeah, that's what happens if you add too much starter culture. Now, remembering, if you're using pasteurised, homogenised, or unhomogenised milk, then use the doses that I use in my recipes. If you're using raw milk, then ease off by about 25% on the starter culture. Use less because there are already lactic bacteria active in raw milk. So that can be an issue if you're using raw milk. Patricia says, if I'd been thinking ahead, I would have planned to have a cloth-banded cheese for Halloween. The resemblance to a mummy is very strong. Indeed it is, with Halloween coming up quickly. At the end of, well, we got 5 weeks to go. Robin says, I've discovered another cheese for you. Incredibly strong and pretty stinking. Absolutely delicious. I can't even pronounce it. Let me write it down. Getting some of these recipes. Because these obscure cheeses. Is this Polish cheese? Something Tawaruski. That's how you say the end bit, I think. Thanks, Robin. I'll go and check that out. Pardon me. Al, g'day Al, says, living on the islands, nowhere to buy mesophilic starter culture for cheese making. Also, no culture stuff in the store, just different types of yogurts. Will they work? Or how to make a starter culture? Good question. If you're using raw milk, then you could get away with making a decent cheese by just adding rennet. That should not be too much trouble. That's what they used to do in the old days, before we had these manufactured starter cultures, which are only around because we now pasteurize milk and it kills all the lactobacteria. So if you're using raw milk, won't need it. You'll get a decent cheese out of it nonetheless. So no cultured stuff in the shop. So no like cultured buttermilk or anything like that. That may be difficult. Then you can get an aromatic starter culture out of that. Different type of yogurts, will they work? Yeah, if you're using a thermophilic starter culture in a normal, in a cheese, then using a yogurt will work. The milder the yogurt, the better off the thermophilic starter culture is, because most yogurt cultures include a thermophilic culture called Lactobacillus lactis subspecies bulgaris, which is a fast acidifier and creates that tangy sharpness in some yogurts that you get. And they then, that translates into the cheese as well, and it becomes rather tart and a very fast acidifier, so that can be an issue. But yeah, the milder the yogurt, the better off you are. Most of them will have live cultures still, if they're stored at 4 degrees Celsius. So, very cool. Lloyd says, I've got a ton of older cultures that still work great, but I vacuum seal them and stick them back in the freezer. That's also a good idea too, Lloyd, if you can. Anthony says, if I recall correctly, most of the problems with cultures are from moisture getting in when you open it to take some out. Indeed, that is. If they become... this prevents the moisture, which is great. If you find that anything in those foil packets are gluggy and they're not free-flowing, then, yeah, they won't work. Because they've started to hydrate and the lactobacteria becomes active and usually dies off as soon as it gets clumpy. Lloyd says... Just to follow that up, yeah, if it gets moist and starts to clump, it's done for, indeed. It started to activate and then just dies. Anthony says, I use raw milk and do about 75% of your culture amounts to great effect, as you've seen. Yeah, perfect. So ease off by 25%, as I've said. So, well, yeah, well done. Thanks for backing me up there, Anthony. That works. C. Scarsden says, have you experienced with corn or maize? I recently bought an amount that was infected with an insect. Separate corn. Why are we talking about corn and not cheese? Sorry, no question there. Okay, Nawab says, should I pasteurize the raw milk for Howder or use it directly, just heating it to 33 degrees? Do I pasteurize it at 80 Celsius now? I do pasteurize it at 80 degrees Celsius now, but I can use it without pasteurizing. Yeah, you can use raw milk without pasteurizing it. However, sometimes raw milk can be problematic, especially when it gets coliform infections, and during the initial start of making the cheese, it produces hydrogen and creates all these little bubbles, looks like a sponge. That infection can be caused by feces in the milk, which is a problem, and that can be, well, the handling of the milk is very important from cow to the cheese vat, obviously. The less contamination, the better, of course. So I do have a video, and I'll put the link in there, and it's called Thermalizing Your Milk, which is a form of home pasteurization. Let me see if I can find it. And I'll put the link in the chat. Pasteurize. Here we go. So, if we how to pasteurize raw milk at home for cheese making. So this is it's called low temperature long hold. Let me just get the link for you. Can we? Yep. There we go. So I'll pop that in the chat. Go and check that out, and I think you'll find that will help you thermalize or low temperature long hold pasteurize your milk. The enzymes that are in the milk they don't get destroyed. Some of the cultures don't get destroyed either, so some of the thermophiles hang around, which is fantastic. So go and check that out. Kathy says, gee, that's moving fast. Lots of stuff going on there. Make clabber from raw milk or kefir or yogurt. Yeah, you could use kefir grains. They're a bit hit and miss. Problem is, you've got to get them if you're on the islands. That may be difficult as well. Nina says that Olamoki, oh, I don't even know how to say it, is also known as the cheese of death. Goodness me, that'll be a bit of a stinker, I reckon. So Kim's not a fan of the stinkers, especially the anything with brevibacterial linens. So how am I going to get away with doing Reblochon, which I think has a little bit of brevibacterial linens in it? We'll see. But anyway, Patricia has a suggestion. Can you mail order cultures from Gavin or any other internet-based home cheese making supplies? Yeah, we ship all over the world. So don't know what island you're on, but yeah, we can get it there. I've shipped to many of the Pacific Islands, and they've all got there fine, and people have made cheese. Where to specifically? Tonga to Vanuatu, Cook Islands. Someone's got a goat there on the Cook Islands, I'm sure, because somebody's making cheese over there. New Zealand, of course, that's a big island, but yeah. Tasmania, that's an island. G'day, Shauna. Yeah, anyway, yeah, so we ship it everywhere. So great suggestion. Thank you, Patricia. Dave, hello, Dave. Canadian curd nerd in the house. Nice to see you, mate. Brendan says, have you ever recovered some blue mould from shop-bought cheese and used it to inoculate milk to copy a cheese? I'm going to give it a go with a cheese that I bought from the Mould Cheese Festival. Nice one. Yeah, look, it can be sometimes hit and miss. Getting the right dose of the Penicillium roqueforti or Penicillium roqueforti glaucum from cheeses that you bought and put it into the milk. From what I've read, and I haven't done it before, you can take a sample out of those cheeses, get the bluest or greenest part you possibly can, put it in a little bit of warm milk and dissolve it before you add it to the milk that you're using to make your cheese. That's the best way to do it. I have read in... Do I have that book here? No, I don't have it with me. David Ash's book, how he makes blue mold culture using rye bread. However, that can be hit and miss too, because wild molds can infect the bread as well, and then you're dosing your cheese with wild molds that may not be Penicillium roqueforti. But yeah, you can give it a go. I haven't tried it, Brendan, because I've got an abundant supply of direct vat inoculated cultures and molds. So I'd rather, when I'm making a video and I'm only making the cheese once, for instance, I will prefer to use something that is a known factor in my cheese, unless I'm doing an experimental video. So which I will probably do soon, because I'm going to start running out of cheeses to make very soon. If you have a look at, you saw the list of cheeses that I'm making. There's a lot of lactic set ones there that I've never made before, because they do take a long time, and they're nice and fresh, but they don't last very long. You got to eat them pretty quick. There's only so much cheese you can eat. Anyway, alrighty. Longshot says, hey Gavin, just wondering if it's possible to make a low moisture mozzarella without special equipment. There is a recipe over, you go and have a look at cheesemaking.com. There's a recipe over there for a low moisture mozzarella. I don't think you need any special equipment. Just go and have a look at the recipe. Very similar to, say, normal buffalo mozzarella or cow's milk mozzarella, but the process is slightly different. And that's time for the gallery, curd nerds. But yeah, so there is a recipe. I haven't tried it. It's over on cheesemaking.com. So go and check that out, long shot. Al says, just to follow up the last one, that he can get it from online stores, but the idea is to stay independent from importation. However, it might make sense to order it to further cultivate it locally and preserve it. Yeah, you could do that. That would be cool. Alrighty, so we've got lots more questions to get through, but let's get into the gallery, shall we? Let me just bring that up and bring up the notes and flick to the second monitor. We'll do it this way today. Alrighty, here we go. The gallery is brought to you by you, the cheesemaker. Now, the very first one, we've got like 16 photos. 16, 18 maybe. Alright, so this is from Brendan, and Brendan's watching. Hello, Brendan. Lovely to see you. Thank you for sending these in. Let's do a bit of a closey up there. It says, hi Gavin, it's been a while since I shared some photos of my recent cheese making. I thought you might like to see them. They are all created using your recipes, and I thought you might like to see how the recipes are performing in the wild. Yes, indeed, I always like to see how they perform in the wild world. You are welcome to share them on your Ask the Cheeseman YouTube broadcast. That's very official, mate. Yeah, okay. The first one is Alpine Blossom. This cheese was very photogenic initially. However, over time, liquid escaped from the cheese whilst maturing under the vacuum seal, and the bright colours of the flowers were lost. In spite of the colour loss in the flowers, the cheese was quite successful and tasty. Let's have a look. Oh, there we go. That's nice. Make it a bit bigger. It says, the cheese cut well. It was slightly crumbly with the flowers of the herbs. And the flavours of the herbs were in front and centre. This is certainly a cheese I will make again. I hope next time I will make it that I get no liquid loss and can retain the beautiful colours of the edible flowers. Indeed. Now, I saw a video the other day, Brendan, on somebody cutting an out blossom, and they had the cheese wire thing. It was in a cheesemonger. And what they did, they actually used a knife first, and they scored a line in the surface of the cheese, which kind of like parted the flowers and herbs a little bit. So when they used the line, it didn't drag through. It happened to my cheese as well. And you get this drag through effect with the with the flowers. And I can't tell if you used a wire there. I'm not sure. But yeah, so it prevents the drag through if you cut a line in the rind of the cheese first and then use a wire afterwards. Seems to work fine. Anyway, moving right along. The next one, there's a slice of the out blossom. Very nice, lovely. The next one is this cheese is Gorgonzola Dolce. It developed a prolific Penicillium roqueforti coating with a significant Penicillium candidum coating as well, which is fine. These things happen. The inside, here we go. Oh, very nice. Oh, look at that. That's ultra wide screen. Look, we're going for cinema shots here. It says, the inside of the cheese was amazing with lots of Penicillium roqueforti growth in the mechanical holes, which is how it's supposed to happen. It's beautiful. The flavour of this cheese was impressive. The cheese was firm but at the same time soft. It held up well to cutting but melted in the mouth really nicely. Yeah, good. That, I tell you what, that Gorgonzola recipe was just spot on. Well done, mate. Good job. The next cheese from Brendan, ew, that's very nice too, is a Jack in the Box. What an incredible idea you came up with. What an incredible idea you had to come up with this. This cheese has an amazing look and was lots of fun to make. The cheese cut beautifully and is very attractive looking cheese. The next time I make this cheese, I'm going to change the ratio of plain to chili infused curds. I found I had a significant amount of leftover chili curds that I couldn't fit into the center hole. I opted against putting the remainder of the chili curds in the cheese so I could achieve a uniform looking look inside the cheese. I'll probably make more of the plain curds and less of the chili ones next time. Very nice. That is lovely. And I think there's a close-up. Yep, there we go. Lovely. It was a great cheese. It wasn't my idea. It was actually provided by Cheryl from Florida. She had made something like this, but I think it was the other way round. So she had the white cheese in the middle and the chili on the outside. And I thought, well, why not flip that around and we can call it a Jack in the Box? Because it's a pepper jack inside a box of normal looking cheese. So that's what I did. So I took her idea, twisted it on its head, and then came up with this recipe. The next cheese that Brendan has sent in says, the next cheese is a mead washed Alpine style. The flavours of this cheese was insane. It had an enormous amount of Brevibacteria linens on the outside, which penetrated deep into the cheese and gave flavours I've never tasted before. And tyrosine crystals everywhere. You can see them in the photo. Can I? Yes, we can see some crystals there. But certainly the bee linens is going hell for leather there, that's for sure. You can see them in the photo, all the bright white spots. This cheese was a real winner. I enjoyed devouring this cheese more than you can possibly imagine. To wash it, I used a mead that I made during the mead recipe you shared a while ago. You actually started me on a journey of mead brewing. Thanks for that, Gavin. I've got 3 5-litre demijohns, which I brew in, and a 15-litre demijohn that I rack them into to finish it off so I can liberate 3 5-litre bottles to start the next batch after racking. I've since branched out into making melomel, which is mead infused with berries. My first batch is currently brewing and has been made on raspberries. I can't wait to try that. The liquid is a lovely red colour. I get the honey from a local supplier who provides me with honey in exchange for mead. Very nice. Alright, so the next cheese is Salgiorgi. I had a lot of trouble with maturing this cheese. Can we get in closer? There we go. There we go. Being a blue cheese maker, I had issues keeping the PR, or Penicillium Roqueforti, off it. Some of it got into the surface cracks. In spite of this, I really enjoyed making and eating this magnificent cheese. The umami of this cheese was just amazing. Yeah, it blew me away too. It was a real pleasure to eat. The texture was firm. It had a beautiful mouthfeel when eating. We ended up grating most of it and using it like parmesan. It was sensational. Very nice. Yes, it's a strange adaptation of cheddar. So, this next one. Oh, that's a good looking cheese, isn't it? No doubt you'll recognise this cheese as Shropshire Blue. It's probably one of my favourite cheeses. It is funky, smooth, crunchy. Check out the tyrosine crystals growing in the PR. Yeah, these little white. Let's get right. Well, it's a bit blurry, but you can see all of the crystals within the PR in the mould. So very nice. Where are we up to? This cheese melted in my mouth like butter. I actually cried when I ate the last piece because I knew I'd have to wait for another 8 to 12 months to eat it once I made more. Oh, mate. Yeah, I know. It's so good. Shropshire Blue is delightful. Okay. We got a few more. Brendan's got more. Here we go. The next one. Oh, look at that. Goodness me. Up next is the incredible smoked paprika rubbed kefili. It is a beautiful looking and tasting cheese. Everybody who tried it agreed that the combination of smoked paprika and kefili is a match made in heaven. Indeed. It was a serendipitous discovery, this one. I had set out to make a yarg, which is a Cornish cheese coated in nettles. However, I stuffed up making the nettles because they just turned into like spinach. And I hunted around. I got this cheese ready to go, Caerphilly, and I thought, well, what can I do to it? Kim said, why don't you rub something on the outside? And I went to the herb and spice cupboard, rack, whatever you call it, and I found smoked paprika, and the rest is history. And there we go. Goodness me. Well done, Brendan. That is amazing. The next one, oh, this looks familiar. Here we have the Tassie Devil. Good grief, Gavin. What on earth gave you the idea to put Tasmanian lanceolata berries in a cheese? Whatever it was that made you do it, it was truly inspired. What an incredible looking and breathtaking cheese. The berries lost some of their heat, I presume, during maturation, but this wasn't a bad thing. The eucalypt menthol flavours of the berry were right up there, and just a slight hint of heat was really pleasurable. It also meant that the Minister for Finance, my wife, was able to enjoy this cheese. She's not much of one for things that are too hot and spicy. This cheese was a roaring success. Short story about this one. It was actually inspired by Michael and Jenny, who are also in the chat. They actually came to visit me to pick up some cheese making supplies, because you can click and collect, do that sort of service. And we had a cup of coffee in the studio, and they checked out where I filmed all my videos and stuff. And they gave me a gift of the Tasmanian pepperberries because they were coming back. They were going back to Adelaide from Tasmania via my house, just to give me the pepperberries. It was so kind of them. And I thought, well, there's no way I can't make a cheese. And I came up with a recipe, and bingo boingo, there we go. There it is. Tassie Devil. Very nice. Okay, moving right along. Brendan's got heaps. Right, next one. This is, Brendan says, here we have your triple pepper Monterey Jack. The heat on this was quite nice. The cheese was a little crumbly and slightly bitter. There may have been an issue with the amount of rennet I used, which contributed to the bitterness. Nonetheless, I still ate it. It was really nice, and a cheese I will certainly make again, and I'll back off on the rennet next time. Yeah, that, and it needs a bit more salt probably too. The bitterness can be created by too much salt. Not enough salt is what I should say. But that's a good looking cheese, mate. This one, this is an Aussie classic. So this cheese is your inspirational Vegemite infused cheese. This cheese was a complete delight. This is, without a doubt, a quintessential Australian cheese. I'm sure we all remember when we were younger, heading off to school with a cheese and Vegemite sandwich in our lunchbox. Indeed. What a great idea to put them together in a cheese. This cheese melted well under the grill and was great to eat in many different ways. The texture of this cheese was flexible yet firm. I think the amount of Vegemite used to infuse the curds was spot on. My wife really liked this cheese and has asked me to make more of it, which I will do, of course. This cheese has a subtle... Hang on, next photo. There it is. That's the Vegemite cheese still. This cheese has a subtle yet wonderful marbling inside, and the flavour that just can't be beaten. Indeed. And thank you to Evan Fitz for the idea on how to make Vegemite cheese. He did a trial to start with and then sent me the recipe. I changed it a little bit, but I tell you what, most of the ingredients and the amount of Vegemite and how he adapted one of my recipes, I think it was the mustard and ale cheese. He adapted that recipe I created there and put Vegemite in instead. So thank you to Evan Fitz for that recipe. I didn't come up with the idea, I just presented it. But it's like you said, Brendan, a fantastic cheese. All right, the next, this is still Brendan. This is chili halloumi. It turned out quite well. The addition of the chili certainly added to the enjoyment of the cheese. This is an excellent alternative to plain halloumi. On the subject of halloumi, oh, there we go. I'll be making halloumi fries. It will be with plain halloumi because my wife can enjoy them as well. This is the coating with your lovely flour, salt, pepper, smoky paprika mixture. And here they are after they've been fried. Wonderful, just wonderful. Well, Gavin, that's it. As you can see, I've been quite busy recreating your recipes and enjoying the fruits of my labour. Keep the awesome cheese-making ideas coming. Brendan. Thank you, Brendan. Amazing haul of cheese photos there. I haven't read the chat. I hope it's... yeah, it's going off like a frog in a sock. So that's excellent. Thank you, Brendan, for sending those in. Really appreciate it, mate. Keep in touch, of course. The next one is from Dan. Dan has been waiting patiently in the stalls there. It's time to go for a run. It says, hi, Gavin. This is the latest batch of Amaruli cheese made with 4 litres of milk this time. Can we get in there? It's supposed to have these holes in it too, by the way. It says, I'd brine this one instead of salting, which worked well. Definitely needs a 10% brine, not an 18. I had to decant and reduce the brine strength as it was a little bit too saline. This one is named Eloise the Cheese. Nice one. She is delicious, melts beautifully, fab on toast with a bit of tomato. A really nice eating cheese. Incidentally, the food perestroika immeration cheese recipe just says let it sit for 8 hours rather than turn every hour. I'm not sure, but I have a hunch, and turning the cheese may not be needed so often, so I'll find out in my next batch. Cheers, hope it all helps. Yeah, indeed, and thank you for the recipe for that, Dan. I really appreciate it. I've slated it for a make next year. You would have seen that in the Trello board of my video workflow. Dan goes on to say, it says about the copper. I think we talked about this last show. He's using a copper pot. He says, the copper. I had a good chat with a coppersmith. Nice. That's where you get it, I suppose, the info. Apparently it had to be not just clean, but mega clean to avoid picking up copper acetate from the surface. Even a pH of 6 to 6.5 is likely enough to cause the oxide to loosen. So I am now currently soaking the pan in citric acid for the next 24 hours to get it really cleaned up, and then I will try again. Regards, Dan. Thank you, Dan, for that update on your copper pot and how to get that specially clean for cheese making. This one is from Liz. Liz has a question and stuff going on here. Says, hi, Gavin. There was some interesting chat about failed cheeses in last week's Ask the Cheeseman. I thought I'd add it to the list. Here are a couple of Caerphilly cheeses made 3 days apart. The first one is the small one on the left. Okay, so that one there. I had to make another one quickly to reassure myself I hadn't lost my touch. Fortunately, it worked out as I expected, which must be this one here. Okay. I used the same amount of milk, the same cultures, the same amount of rennet in both, and I knew the first one was all wrong as soon as I got it out of the press the first time. It was too small and too dry. The things I can think of that might have gone wrong are left the curd to set for too long, yes. Cut the curds too small, yes. Stir the curds too enthusiastically, yeah, could be. Heated the curds above 38, yes, definitely, they would have shrunk too much. I'm sure you can think of more. As far as fat loss goes, yeah, pressing too hard is another one. Too quickly will result in quite a lot of milk fat in the cheese, and it will shrink. Yeah, I think the curd, the main reason is probably the curd cut would do that. If the curds are cut too small, then yeah, they're gonna lose whey a lot quicker. It's going to be a lot drier than what it should be. Liz goes on to say, I reckon that I'd done only one of these things, might have got away with it, but I can only assume I took my eye off the ball more than once. All is not lost. It is a good lesson on the need to concentrate when making cheese. I'm looking forward to doing a comparison between the two cheeses in a couple of weeks' time. The wrong'un may be delicious, and I may have invented a new cheese. Thanks for the continued inspiration and education in all things cheese. Cheers, Liz. Thanks, Liz. Yeah, so it could be an interesting cheese. It'll be a lot drier than, say, the Caerphilly that you made here. This one looks like it'll be a winner. Winner, chicken dinner, that one. And, yeah, this one will be a lot drier, as you can see. Had a lot more problems knitting as well, so you can tell the curds are drier. So they probably cut a lot smaller, and the temperature may have been higher when you cooked it as well. Okay, moving right along. Thank you, Liz, for sending that in. This one is Lloyd. Lloyd says, "Hi, Gavin. For this one, I used your Caerphilly recipe along with Mary Beth Bullington's addition of candied orange peel and walnuts. After 3 weeks aging..." This is after 3 weeks, right? So this is the curds mixed with the peel and the walnuts, and then it's pressed. Oh, very impressive, Lloyd. This is after 3 weeks of aging. The walnuts are the predominant flavour, with a smaller hint of orange. I'm curious to see if the orange comes forward with longer aging. We'll eat this wedge. The rest is sealed up again until the holidays. Regards, Lloyd. Mate, that looks spectacular. That's a great looking cheese. I'm going to have to get my walnut game on. I wonder if the walnuts would taste nicer if I soaked them in a bit of brandy first. The brandy would kill off any yeasts as well. So, and maybe even the candied orange would go good in a good brandy soaking, and then whip up a Caerphilly using that. That'd be great for Christmas. What a great Christmas video. I think Shauna actually sent me the recipe that she uses for, I think, orange and walnut Caerphilly. I'll check that out as well. But yeah, thank you, Lloyd, for sending that in. That is absolutely fantastic. Great looking cheese. You should be very proud of yourself. This next one is from Michael and Jenny. Michael and Jenny says, "Hi, Gavin. We opened up a 3-month-old Lancashire made with 14 litres of unhomogenised full cream milk, and it weighed 1.6 kilograms. That's a lot. It tasted great, nicely salted, creamy and crumbly. Thanks again for all your help and support." Thank you, Michael and Jenny. That looks really good. Nice crumbly cheese. I do like a good Lancashire. And yeah, perfect for a cheese platter. Creamy yet crumbly. It's a great cheese. If you haven't made it, give it a go. Oh, and there's a close-up of the Lancashire. All right, the next one is from Oliver. Not sure if Oliver's watching yet, because what time would it be in Western Australia? Let me have a look. It would be 6:53, so he may be up. Anyway, if you're in the chat, Oliver, give us a wave or send a little heart or something. Says, "Hi, Gavin. This week I managed to get the kimchi done and moved on to more cheese. I finished off the bell pepper cannoli. It was fun to make. I went with a pepper coating for 3 of them and a smoky paprika coating for the other 2. Okay, yep, I can see that. It says the smoky paprika turned out very dark chocolate colour when baked in the oven for the sterilisation process. Also, though, just a side note, by sanitizing the smoky paprika in this way, you also bring out a lot more flavors as you heat the spice. So this may be in your favor when you cut the cheese open. Anyway, he goes on to say, there's another photo. Here it is, yes. This is also from Oliver. It says, "Then yesterday I went with a brew curd cheddar from Mary Carlin's book, an interesting cheese to make, and it has a nice sort of mottled look to it before soaking the curd chips. I used Cooper's Stout in the make to keep it Australian." Nice. One issue I found that her recipe was very light pressing weight specified. It became obvious after the first pressing she specified that there was no way it was going to create a fully knitted cheese. So I looked up your recipe in Keep Calm and Make More Cheese for stout cheddar, and use your pressing specifications to complete it. After a couple of days in the cheese cave drying, although it's pretty dry and firm. Hang on, let's have a look after the soaking. There it is. Nice, that's better. Nice knitted rind. I will vacuum pack it for aging after it's dried out. One thing I'm still a bit of a quandary about, though, is that she specified half a teaspoon of MO30 culture for 8 litres of milk. Way too much culture. Says, but it still seems excessive to me. What do you think? I notice that your stout cheddar only uses 3/8 of a teaspoon of MA4000 for 10 litres. Yeah, mine's a little bit more realistic. Half a teaspoon of mesophilic culture is just way too much, especially for 8 litres of milk. I would use probably an eighth tops, an eighth of a teaspoon. Especially MO30 is a very strong culture. Those sachets that we send out are for 100 litres, and you can usually divide that into 10 for 10 litre batches by using an eighth of a teaspoon, sometimes even a 16th. It's a very strong culture without any fillers, like some of the Danisco ones have excessive lactose added as fillers to help the starter culture kickstart its colony. MA4000 series has a lot of filler in it, which is why I use 3/8 of a teaspoon for 10 litres of milk. So that's the reason there, Oliver. But yeah, well done on getting your stout cheddar pressed with no cracks, and the rind is fully enclosed. So that's really good. Last one from Oliver. This is very nice. It says here, one last thing. Fran, that's Oliver's partner, made a ricotta, egg, and preserved guava tarts. Guess who gets dessert for dinner? They look really nice. I like a good guava as well. So, yeah, nice little tarts. Lovely. Well done, mate. Nice bit of fresh cream on top. Absolutely perfect. So, well done you. And last but not least, I know we're nearly over time, and I haven't even got to half the other questions, so we will run over a little bit. This one's from Shauna, and Shauna in Tassie says, good evening, Gavin and Kim. I just thought I'd send a photo through of a Monterey Jack made with your recipe, but upscaled to 16 litres. All made with my new rectangular mould I bought from New England Cheesemaking Supply. Out of the brine, the cheese weighs in at 1.9 kilos. That's massive. That's a big cheese. It says, happy with the new mould, but I have to remember to convert US dollars to Australian dollars when making purchases. Oops. Came out a little more expensive than I planned, but it's the perfect size for sandwich cheese, so I'm sure it'll get plenty of use once I get a regular supply of unhomogenized milk again. Thank you again for all your guidance. All the best, Shauna. Yeah, it's a great looking cheese and a good looking mould. And it's a good looking book you're using there in the background. Reminds me of something I've seen before. Wink, wink. Looks like, what's the title of that then? Keep calm and make cheese. That's nice. Good binding too. I'll be quiet now. Anyway, that's the last photo. Thank you so much to everybody who sent in photos to the gallery today. We've got 2 minutes left on the clock, but we'll go a little bit today. Somebody said, where is it? Paul said no super chats today. No, there hasn't been any. I think I fixed the automation too. Let me just do one, just for all you curd nerds. There we go. There's a curd nerd light going off. But yeah, it's probably because I was waffling on so much with all the photos, and yeah, there weren't any super chats. But that's okay. No big deal. But if you're thinking of doing one, I'm still going for a little bit. So we'll go till about 1:15. I'm sure there's some more questions in here somewhere. Let me just go back to where we were. Herb, you cheeky monkey. Yes, he snuck one in there. Is it going to trigger? Let's have a look. Hey, the automation works. Thank you, Herb. You are a gentleman and a scholar, as always. There's no message. Thank you for that. Appreciate the $10 US. You're amazing, man. Says no reason, just for the knowledge. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Okay. A new person I haven't seen before. Warren. G'day, Warren. Making my first cheddar as we speak. Enjoy the process, mate. It is good fun, regardless of how it came out. And Jim, mate, you're also a gentleman. There are another super chat coming my way. Thank you so much, Jim. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. There's no message, but thanks, Jim, nonetheless. Appreciate it. Paul, goodness me, it's all going on. $25, mate, that is amazing. Here is another gift. Thank you so much for your super chat, of course. Lovely. Very nice. I'm overwhelmed. Stop it, you guys. There's a few more questions, I'm sure. Let's have a look. Let's go back and have a look. Let's have a look. Alrighty. Dave Berry says, I waxed 7 wheels of Gouda style cheese today. I bet that would have been fun. Waxing is always a pain in the bottom. If you've got a big enough pot, of course, and you can dip them in like half and then another half, that's fine. When I make smaller wheels of cheddar, it's so much easier to wax them that way by just dipping them in. So, well done. I'm very impressed with that. 7 wheels of Gouda. So the thing is with cheese that it scales, right? So the more milk you use, the more cheeses you get, but it takes the same amount of time to make those cheeses. So if you're making a 4-litre batch of cheese or a 100-litre batch of cheese, it's all going to take the same amount of time. So you get more cheese as a bonus. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Croesus of Pork says, I'm sold. I want the cheese of death. I'll look it up. No guarantees on finding a recipe. I think somebody said in the chat it was a Czech cheese. So I'll have to see if I can find a translation. It may be difficult, but we'll see how we go. The Art of Natural Cheese Making. Yes, that was the one I was trying to get out from David Asher was the one. So, yes, very good. Eagle, we were talking about this before. Eagle says, I tried the bread thing to culture blue mold. It didn't work for me, but a total rookie. It is... I've never tried it, so it's very... it may be difficult to make. Now, Robin on this Cheese of Death says, Olo mo to ski to Varuski. Goodness me. I tell you what, trying to make a video on that one will be a pearl, wouldn't it? I have enough trouble with bloody Mizithra. So, yeah, good on you, mate. Thank you, Robin. Appreciate it. Anthony says, we need to find an Epoix recipe for Gavin. That's also a very stinky cheese. Apparently, the Parisian Metro have banned anybody taking Epoix on the Metro. So it's actually a banned cheese. So imagine how stinky that one is. Oh, goodness me. Next question is from... Oh, do we have a look? No, lots of people praising the cheeses of Brendan. So very good. Dave says there's a cheese called Le Pied du Vent, foot on the wind, in the wind. From the Magdalen Islands in Quebec. Creamiest stinky cheese ever, in my opinion. That's another one I'll have to have a look at. But like I said, some of these really localized cheeses are very hard to get a recipe for. But foot in the wind, what an amazing name for a cheese. I love it. I actually watch a YouTuber on from the Magdalen Islands. What's it called? What's her name? Ariane Asano. She's a soap maker. Has a little soap making business on one of the islands. So yeah, interesting. Because me and Kim make soap as well and sell soap stuff. So yeah, Ariane Asano, I think is her YouTube name. Her business, La Fille de Mer. So the girl from the sea. Anyway, Anyway, that aside, but great name for a cheese, Foot in the Wind. Absolutely perfect. It's good. Next question. Herb's talking about fridges. Here we go. Says, I'll be getting 2 more of the mini fridge types. Yeah, you can get them usually second-hand, and that's a good suggestion, Anthony. Keep your eyes on Craigslist or eBay, or even Facebook Marketplace is a big thing here in Australia for people giving away or finding or selling fairly cheap dorm fridges or mini bar fridges, if that's the only place you can have the space for. But yeah, and sometimes even restaurants and stuff going out of business will sell their commercial fridges that you can, adapt a temperature controller to. So that's always a good idea to keep an eye out for those things. Katarina, praising Brendan, says, your cheeses look amazing. The effort you put into affinage clearly shows. Indeed it does. And well done, Brendan, once again. Next question is from... do we have any more questions? Let's have a look. No, we have some good versions. No, there's no more questions, I don't think. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, all right, cool. One last one from Patricia says, we taught you how to say Jabenyet, so I think anything is possible. Indeed, I have enough trouble saying a lot of the foreign names. My problem is I've only got one language under my belt, and other languages are a little bit difficult. I did in high school. Here's something. In high school, I did the language I learnt was Indonesian, and my goodness, did I struggle with that. It was one of those you had to take a language type thing in high school. So as Indonesia is our closest neighbour to Australia, I thought, well, what a good idea. I might go to Indonesia one day. And eventually I did when I joined the Royal Australian Navy. I went to Indonesia a few times. Didn't remember a word of anything I learnt. So maybe Salamat Pagi, which is good morning. So that's... Anyway, that's interesting. Question from Nawab. Can we use a copper mould? I wouldn't use copper as a mould. If anything, stainless steel's best. Plastic is better. The low-density polyethylene or high-density polyethylene are the best plastics to use there. I think most of those plastic moulds are made with low-density polyethylene, which are food safe. Copper, I think, as the cheese acidifies, as Dan has found out, you will get blue streaks, blue-green streaks from the copper in your cheese. I don't think that'll be very good at all. I've never seen a copper mould or basket that you can press your cheese in, so don't do it, Nawab, unless you want a metallic taste to your cheese. Anyway, that's all we got time for today. I'm sure there's breakfast waiting for me inside the house, not in the studio. Thank you, everybody, for your kind super chats. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all the financial members watching. And to all the non-financial members, thank you so much for watching the show anyway. And, of course, all of the Curd Nerds that sent in photos, exceptional. Some amazing photos there today. Absolutely amazing. Now, if you want to learn how to make cheese yourself in a structured format, without the random videos that I produce on a weekly basis, pop over to the Curd Nerd Academy. Go to courses.littlegreenworkshops.com.au. Got a couple of courses there to have a look, a beginner's and a blue cheese making course. And of course, if you want to get supplies, we do have supplies. You can see them behind me. Lots of kits, and in the freezer out the back, we've got lots of cultures over at littlegreenworkshops.com.au, and you can get them shipped most places in the world at a reasonable price. And of course, merch. Today I've been drinking from the Cheesy Chair of Wisdom cup, and that is available over at the merch store at merch.cheeseman.tv, and you can pick that up there. And they ship from the US and the EU using Teespring, I think or Spring they call themselves now. Anyway, that's it for the show today. Thank you for watching, Curd Nerds. Don't forget, I'm recording tomorrow the 100th episode of the podcast, Little Green Cheese. If you have a message and you want to send me some a question or congratulations or what have you, then use that SpeakPipe link. I will pop that back in the chat again one last time. Let me grab that. Throw me a voicemail and I will include it in the episode. So there we go. That's it. Thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and I will see you next week. Same time, same channel, all that jazz. See you later. Bye-bye.